Welcome back everybody. Today we're gonna play Harbor on Pearl. Today is day 67 of playing every agent on every map. Today's agent Harbor is in my opinion a pretty underrated pick. Most of the times you're gonna struggle with him on defense, but you're gonna thrive with him on attack. Even though you're not getting most of the kills most of the time when you're playing a Harbor, you're always in the action, and it is almost impossible for you to not get any value out of him. He is also pretty good on retakes, so if you communicate well with your team, a Harbor can win you almost every game, and it is really easy for him to get the defuse off, to get the plant off, and to farm up a lot of ults in one singular game, or especially on attack in one singular half. Also, Pearl having a really high win rate, especially on B with post plant, is a pretty good thing for a Harbor because it is really easy for him to get down the plant, and it is also fairly easy for him to get down a defuse because he has walls that can cut off the site into different parts, and also a bubble which allows him to not get spammed away, so only util can do damage to him while he is planting or defusing. Starting off with A-side defense. On A-side defense you can use your wall like this to cut off main, even create a little cubby right here for you to be able to play in if you hear a lot of steps that are coming through a main. Or for example, if you have a Euro on your team that can go in this cubby right here and then flash out. And then you can go either main, take the orb if you don't hear any steps, or even if you hear some steps and you think, yeah, they're not going to be pushing here, you can take the orb either way. Or you can even throw a reveal from like a Sova or a Fade into main and then spray through this wall and get your kills. If you hear a lot of people coming main, you can also just use a cascade like this to stop the enemies from coming in. You can then renew that cascade as soon as it goes down with the second one, and if your wall has recharged by that point, you can then use your wall again like this, through main, and through art. Like this you block off the main choke, you block off the art choke as well, so if anyone is coming through art, then they're splitting towards A, you have both options covered. Similarly, you can also play in towards mid, which is in my opinion the better idea, because then you can smoke over towards A and over towards B. With a wall like this, you have art covered and you have main covered in the same way. Other than that, if the enemies are like hard pushing A, I'd recommend you try to get some kills from backside and then go out and wait for your team to play retake. A Harbor is really good on a retake because he has a Harbor bubble or the cove to protect him from getting shot at. So if they plant, for example, in this corner right here, you can throw your Harbor bubble and then start defusing. For that, I recommend you have smoke main already. So you smoke main like this, and then you throw your bubble and start defusing. Other than that, I don't really think there's a lot of things you can do on A, and in general, you should be the guy playing either in mid or over towards B. If you want to go for an A retake, you can use your ult from either back here or over here. And as soon as you hear that gong noise that the Harbor ult makes, you know somebody's inside of the ult, and you can then get information on who is actually inside of the ult or how many players there are by looking at the lightning strikes that are coming from above. Your ult is really good for a retake, and it is also really good if you take the site with your ult and smoke off main and then already start defusing, because if your ult is popping, it is really hard for the enemies to try to attack you while you're defusing. Switching over towards mid, I already showed you this wall from before. You can also use a wall like this one to block off mid in a pretty good way, because firstly you wall off right here, which makes you able to play close here. Even push through, even better with a flash, for example from a Yoru or a Breach or even a KO, then you can push through. And it also blocks off the double door choke, so anybody can either play close here, right behind the wall, or even push out of the wall with a flash. This is really good to block off mid. You can then use either a cascade like this to stop the enemies from pushing in, or even one from over here to stop them from taking even more space. Going over towards the double doors area, double doors works pretty similarly. You can use a wall like this. You can also use a wall like this to block the people off. And like that you have the close choke here smoked, and similarly to before, you have here a cubby, you have here a cubby, and you also have space on the other side of the wall back here to hold them. So the enemies have to go through 3 layers, use some util into all 3 of them, which makes it pretty hard to take the art space for the enemy team, and makes it pretty easy for you to defend it. Going over towards B, B is probably the easiest one to block off. You can use a wall like this one, even put it over the box right here to make it harder for the enemies to peek out. And you can then even go up here, either jump peek, but jump peeking is a thing I don't really recommend. But you can also kind of see over it if like the wall is going slowly down. And in general, using this wall to stop the people from coming into B is a pretty good thing, because it blocks off all the space they can take, especially if they have like a Chet or a Razer that's trying to go over these boxes. Similarly, you can also use your cascades if you are on site. For example, you are playing backside, you can use a cascade like this to stop the enemies from coming in. And then, as soon as the enemies have taken site, I recommend you wait for your team, play for the retake. Smoking of main from here is really impossible, so I recommend as a harbor you go over towards this side and wall out like this. You can then even send a cascade out towards backside to make sure you get out of the side easily, or even one over towards the other side of backside right here to make it easier for you to take the side. And then have somebody come into your bubble and start defusing. Wherever the spike is, it makes it so much easier if you have a harbor bubble to protect you. For ults, it is pretty simple. If you want to use a ult from CT, use it like this. If you want to use a ult from the link area right here, use it like this, but I recommend you walk backwards. It is kind of random, but if you walk backward, it moves less fast. Or you can also just even turn around a little if you know they are all long and nobody is towards side. You can use a ult like this to stop them from peeking you while you are going for the defuse. In general, I don't really recommend popping your ult before they have planted the spike, unless you want to take a certain space and you have all of your team in on the idea already. So your full team is on the same page and you're pushing at the same time, which makes it really hard for the enemies to get away from a harbor ult. Switching over towards attack. On attack, you have two options with a harbor. You could firstly send in a cascade like this to stop the enemies from peeking you from main, and make it harder for the people that are actually already have pushed main to go back in, because they're going to be slowed. On the other hand, you can also use a cascade like this if you are afraid of the enemies peeking you early, and then you can use a flash to clear out the space, or you just have a couple of people that are playing close here, and as soon as the wall drops, you can then peek out and kill the people that are playing close. But in general, I recommend the wall in main, so it is easy for your team to take the main space, and you can't be like really held from anybody that is playing close here. Once you have taken main, you have two options. The option I prefer is going over. Again, a cascade helps with that. So you have taken the main space, your cascade is still up, you can go over, and then you can use a wall like this one to block off art, backside, and here flowers and backside right here, and dugout. And leave a small gap right here, so you are able to take the space right here in the dugout area, which is a pretty strong spot to play pause plant from. Similarly, you can also use a wall like this one if you have your team coming through mid, which allows your team to take the backside area more easily. And you can then also use a reveal, for example, behind it, either a silver reveal thrown at this wall, or a fade reveal thrown on top here. This is in general pretty easy, and taking a side shouldn't really be a problem. Other than that, you can then just re-smoke where you hear most of the enemies coming from. For example, if you hear them coming from flowers, you can re-smoke flowers with a cascade. If you hear a lot of people clearing art, you can use a cascade towards art, and the same thing on backside as well. You can also threaten some aggression by using a cascade like this one, that goes all the way back here, to make the enemies think, yeah, you are close here or somewhere, and they're gonna use more util and make it easier for you to stay on the side, even if you are not playing back here. And if you want to, you can even follow up with that cascade and play close here to make the enemies even more scared, so they always have to use some util back here, and they're not gonna have that util for the side take. If you want to use a ult on A, I recommend you use a ult like this one, more over towards the art area, because most of the times the enemies are playing towards backside, towards flowers, and towards art. And with a ult like this, you have all three lanes covered, and your ult gets the most value. Other than that, I recommend you go Cove again and then start planting. The best plant spot on this side is either close here, for the simple reason that it is pretty open. It is open towards art, it is kind of open towards backside. it is also kind of open towards here, so it is in like the middle of anything. Or you can even go close here in this corner, but I don't really recommend this one because there can be people trying to defuse from over here or from over here when you have teammates that are playing art or main. So planting right here is probably the best idea. Similarly, farming ult orbs is a really good idea on a Harbor because Harbor's ult is only 7 ult orbs. If you go in, take the ult orb and then plant, you already have 2 ult orbs. If you then get another kill or even die, you're gonna get one more and then you're already halfway to your ult. And you can get up to 4 to 5 ults in one singular game, which I have achieved a couple of times, and it is really suppressing for the enemies because it makes it really hard for them to play on the side. Switching over towards mid. If you want to take mid and you have pretty aggressive enemies, you can use a cascade like this one to focus more on the people that are coming out double doors, and then use either a flash or a stun or just whatever to clear this out. Or you can even jump close here, wait for the flash, and then peek out. If you have a couple of teammates here and the enemies don't have a Chamber, Chat, or Reyna that can get out instantly, you can also just wait for the wall to drop, collect a kill on the person that is holding you guys, and in general it is a pretty easy way to get some kills like that. If you want to go in towards art and then over towards A, you can use a wall like this one that will only cut off flowers and the art close here. But you can then use a cascade towards backside to take the backside area as well, which is in general a pretty simple thing you can do. Other than that, you can also decide to push this area right here, but for that there's not really much util a Harbor can give to help the team out in a good way. Similarly with double doors, you have two options: walling off right here to stop the people from peeking from link, or walling off like this, or even just letting this wall go all the way down, clearing out right behind it is in general a pretty good idea, because this space right here is pretty easy to hold by just a AWP or a person with a Vandal or maybe even a Chamber just looking up here. By using your wall, you can isolate the picks on the people. For example, there's somebody playing close here, and then you see that person, you can just stop your wall, fight that person first, wait for the wall to drop, and then fight the second person that is playing close here. If you want to go towards B side from here now, I recommend you use a wall like this. This wall can be kind of 50-50. You have to place it in the right way. As you can see, I didn't place it the right way right here. You have to place it so it also covers this lower part right here. But doing that is not the hardest thing, but you have to look on the mini-map. You can see my wall is going through here. This is the open part, and this again here is the closed part. So if you place it like this, it should cover the top, and it also covers the bottom, which is the way better wall, and it also makes it easier for you to take the site. There might be some gaps in this wall, so always be aware of that, but in 9 out of 10 times there's not going to be a gap, and you're going to have a easy time to take the site. Another wall you can also use, but this wall is especially used on eco rounds, is a wall like this, to clear out the long areas, clear out the people that are playing close here, but you always have to worry about somebody walking through, even somebody going all the way close here, peeking through and then peeking out from behind you. So I recommend you have at least one person holding this wall from over here, so they can get some free kills on the people that are trying to push through. Other than that, you can also use a cascade back here to retake that space, and then focus more on the people that are playing backside. Or you can re-smoke this area with a cascade like this. This one blocks off the top and also blocks off the bottom, so your wall is a pretty decent thing to use on an attack. Switching over towards long now. If you want to take long, a thing I like to do, but it isn't always the best choice, is a wall like this one. This wall allows our team to take out the long space in a pretty simple way, but you have to stop it at the right point, else there's going to be a gap right here and the people can just peek through. This allows you to focus more on the people that are playing close here, but you always have to worry of the wall dropping, so it is kind of a risky one. But that can be done on a Harbor, because a Harbor cascade doesn't last for that long, and then you already have the space on long without the enemies really being able to do anything against it. Always be aware there can be people on top of the screens area right here with an AWP, so if you are walking in, I don't recommend you are going to be the first guy in, because you have the smokes, which is a pretty important part of your side take. For the smokes itself, you can then go close here and use a wall like this. I didn't place this wall fully right. You can do the same thing as I showed you from before, through here and then through the bottom. But a easier way to place harbor walls is by just looking up, and then the wall is going to be slower, as you can see, and it can be more precise. Like this, I have covered the top, I have also covered the bottom, and it is a pretty simple way to get harbor walls more precise, but it's going to take you a little longer time. So smoking on a harbor might seem difficult at first, but if you get used to it, it's going to be pretty easy. And then you can take the side. You can even use a cascade towards backside, but then I recommend you have some flashes to flash through and take the backside area. Then you can go plant with a harbor bubble like this. You can even plant close here, or plant here in the best spot for the B side, because if you plant right here, it gives the enemies not a lot of space where they can defuse from, and then you can just spam from long on the people that are trying to go for the defuse. If you want to use a ult on B, I recommend you use a ult like this that also covers the screens area right here. Or if you have the information over the screens, you can fully leave the spot out and ult like this one. To ult more towards CT, you also have to kind of look that you clear out the people close here. But with a ult like this, even the people that are rotating in are going to be slowed because of the harbor ult. So this ult is in general probably one of the better ones. If you are on an eco, however, you can also use a wall like this one, but in general, if you are on an eco, I don't recommend you go B, because if you are on an eco, you usually have short range weapons and just in general worse weapons, and going B on an eco is not a thing I recommend. But this wall can here can give you a easy plant and can let you isolate close range fights. If I had to give Harbor a rating from S to F, I'd actually give him the 8 here. He is really strong on retakes, he is really strong on side takes, but what he struggles with is playing for the side hold, for example, if he is on the other side. That's why I recommend when you play Harbor, you play him towards mid, so it is possible for you to smoke mid, A, and B at the same time. That's the only thing I really think Harbor is that bad on Pearl, but other than that, I think Harbor is a pretty solid pick and you can win a lot of games with him. That would be it from me. If you want to see any other agents on any other maps, write it down in the comments. And if you want to see anything else Valorant related, write it down there as well. Other than that, don't forget to like and sub. And come say hi to me on Twitch, where I stream almost daily. Today we're also gonna have a pretty long stream since I'm finally unbanned, like after 1 week, because I wrote something in a other Twitch chat, but that's none of your problem right now. So come say hi to me right there, and then I might explain it to you if you are interested in it. Have a great rest of your day, and see you guys very soon. Bye!